2013, Season 1, GSL Code S.
That's absolutely correct, Wolf. And our first Terran player in this game on Entombed Valley in this mirror match is starting to the bottom left. He's starting in yellow, starting for Team Liquid.net. It is
Liquid TaeJa.
TaeJa being on 2-0 now. He wants to get even with Squirtle. He wants to get the 3-0. Let's see if he can make it happen. He's up against a Terran player starting at the top right in purple. This is for Team
MVP Dream.
And Dream is on a 1-1 now, which means if he loses this game, then he would be tied with Trap and Shine. If he takes it, then he's tied with TaeJa, with both of them having 2 wins and 1 loss.
Yeah, it's really important for him to take this. We saw, in fact, these exact positions when TaeJa played earlier. And TaeJa out-macroed his opponent. He went for a Reaper Expand versus CC first, but in this case, it looks like TaeJa's going to be the one going for the CC first. And Dream, on the other hand, looks like he's going for a 1-Rax Expand since he has not taken his Refinery just yet. He would have taken it by now. You can see the win rate versus Terran here is pretty terrible, actually, for Dream. It's abysmal at 1 and 6. This is, of course, just GSL stats, but GSL stats alone, man, in that booth, not doing so hot.
And Dream, if I... you know, if you look at all the games that he has played and not only focus on the GSL matches, I have him on 8 wins and 17 losses, which leaves him with a 32% win ratio, which is really not that good, to put it mildly. The last Terran players that he faced were Polt, where he lost, and he faced Puma. He lost to Puma too. He actually played TaeJa at MLG Summer Arena and lost the best of 3. Took 1 map, but it was not enough. The only win that I can find for him was at MLG Spring Arena, and that was all the way back in July against Thorzane, where he didn't drop a map. But every other Terran versus Terran that I can find in his match history, he lost, and I gave up in May 2012. So let's see if he was able to prepare a special strategy for this map, or if he gets a good shot, because let's be honest about it, TaeJa in this matchup is...
It's quite good, man. We saw how good his macro is last game that he played in TVT.
TaeJa in TVT is pretty amazing.
Don't want to mess with him, because in the late game, he's really scary, but even through the mid game, if you don't hit your depots perfectly like he does, you're going to be sad. This bunkering is a little bit scary, but he loses his SCV, so it's no longer a threat. And that 1 Marine is still going to be a slight annoyance, though. It's not going to be able to kill anything. Well, he may get 1 SCV. That's on the micro of TaeJa. TaeJa should be able to save it. Well, he does not micro it at all, in fact, and will lose it. Second Marine is here, actually.
Yeah.
And really nice micro by TaeJa this time, though.
The SCV helps out.
Double CC for Dream. And in TVT, I always find this a little bit weird. But we'll see how he uses it. If you go for a really fast 3rd CC on this map particularly, usually you go into mech.
You know, the thing is, in mirror matches in general, if you are greedier than your opponent, you get away with it, you get a lead. So that's what it comes down to. Taking a few chances, and he goes into the double gas as well after this double command center. And we were talking a little bit about the Terran versus Terran for TaeJa, and let's have a quick look at his statistics. He has a 65% win ratio. We have him with 88 wins and 47 losses. He was able to win against a Terran player today. He was taking out Happy in one of the first games that he played. He lost against Flash in Pro League, as mentioned before, but if you just go down his match history, you have him with wins against Bogus, against Baby, against Sin. Marine King took him out, but TaeJa with a 3-0 against MMA at NASL. This guy is just so good these days. The only matchup where he maybe struggles in a little bit is, as already pointed out before, against Protoss. He sometimes had a bit of bad luck, but right now, in Terran versus Terran, I don't want to mess with him.
No, I don't either, man. You can see there's a 10 supply deficit here, and that actually comes from the fact that command centers don't actually add to your supply. That's where his 400 minerals went. So you can see TaeJa actually has a really nice position on the map, but with that bunker alone, you can't really attack Dream. The thing is, Dream doesn't get that extra gas just yet. He gets a bunch of extra minerals, which can bolster his Marine count, but first, TaeJa has the better Marine count. He's actually getting that command center finally beefed up. He's got those barracks running. He's got Stim started. So the tech advantage in some ways goes to TaeJa. He's got the army with the Stim, whereas Dream has very few units, but he's also getting his starport up first, so there's a slight trade-off with who you could say is ahead in this game.
At this point, without the bunker, Dream would have lost it right then and there. So many Marines for TaeJa. He had 14 against 4, and this bunker is so important to Dream, so his defense is ready. And this is because he invested the minerals in this extra command center. So Dream with the defense is in good position, and here comes the scan. TaeJa knows now what's going on because of the positioning of this command center and the timing. He knows that there is a third command center for his opponent, and the immediate reaction for TaeJa is building his own third base.
Yeah. He's got to realize now, of course, though, that he is going to have the better army supply consistently throughout this, and how can he use that? We may see him hit one of these timings with a bunch of Marines with the upgrade advantage that he's going to have. You can see his 1-1 has started while Dream is just now getting his E-base up. But if he has an upgrade advantage and the better Marine count, he can crush the third.
Yeah, but the thing is that TaeJa is behind in the overall tech. He's now finishing his factory, and Dream already has Medivacs out. Dream was playing this very greedy in the beginning, the double command center only being one of the things that he did, but he got the gas very fast and then went into his tech. So even though he's a bit behind in the upgrades, the overall tech is better for Dream. But the question still remains, as we said, what is he going to do? And there we have the answer. We have him with another factory, and also a barracks. Still looks like he's gonna go into... there they are, double upgrades.
Yeah, there's the double upgrades. Just a little bit slightly delayed, and it all comes down to if TaeJa even realizes that. Because if he doesn't notice, obviously he can't capitalize on it. And there's no way for him to know without clicking on the units, and there's going to be such a small window. He may be able to utilize that, though. But you're still right about the tech, and with the second factory coming down for Dream, he's actually going to be able to get a siege tank count up really, really fast.
They are still very even in harvesters. So Dream couldn't utilize the third orbital to an extent where he gets far ahead in the SCV count. We have TaeJa now also with his own orbital nearly done, the third one.
Yeah, he's going to be able to mine from that. He's already mining from it, in fact, whereas Dream is not.
Exactly.
You know, I really...
That's the...
We've talked about this before, but I really don't think that a fast third orbital, that as fast as Dream got it, is actually necessarily good in this matchup. Especially on a map like this.
The problem is the same problem that Happy had. Look at the production tab and look at the SCVs that they were hitting the entire time. Now, right now, none of them are producing harvesters, but before that, we had always TaeJa up with 2 SCVs, 2 SCVs, 2 SCVs, then later on 3, whereas Dream was producing 1 SCV, 2 SCVs. He didn't utilize this, and he had the minerals to make it happen, and he also had the supply. But TaeJa just never misses his macro. The guy is awesome with this. And now, both of them getting additional harvesters, but TaeJa is now on 3 bases as his Dream. He's, as you pointed out, mining from his third earlier, and he has even more harvesters.
And this drop is where that tech comes into play that you were talking about with the Medivacs. He's got this out first.
Yeah, and that gives him an edge now.
Yeah. See, now he's going to lose those 2 Marines. That's fine, though, because he drops in the main base. He's going to do a little bit more harassment there. In fact, he could get one of these Medivacs. Has to pick up, but this keeps TaeJa off his back when he finally secures his third. He does lose the Medivac, though.
Yeah.
And overall, though, the siege tank count is getting better and better for Dream. This is what I talked about before with this faster second factory. TaeJa has the better Marine count, of course, at this moment in time, 44 to 29. He also has those 2-2 upgrades started immediately, but Dream not too far behind. He is a little bit missing out on that armor upgrade, though. That's something he's going to need to start very soon, because that makes a huge difference. Yeah. There it is.
There we have it on the tap now. And
it's just kind of a trade-off. You know, you see TaeJa now starts his factory, so he can catch up with siege tank count. Now the barracks go down for Dream, so he can keep his Marine count back up. Both these players are pretty even at this point.
Yeah, the harvester count is even, the bases are there, the income as well. We have roughly the same supply. They're also very even in the upgrades that you just pointed out. This is going to go into a very long macro game, and this is... I personally would not want to go against a macro game against TaeJa. I would rather try to roll the dice a little bit and go for an opening that might pressure him and surprise him. But now we'll find out how good Dream is now in this late game scenario. And against Protoss, we saw it earlier on Abyssal City. Against TaeJa now, it's going to be a different story. Dream is ready to move out and do some damage, whereas TaeJa gets his 4th command center up.
You know, I think if Dream actually tries to fight against TaeJa will crush his army right now with his better Marine count, with all the splitting he can do, but it all depends on the sieging, and Dream sieges first, so he's not going to fight here.
Dream wants the map control, and now he controls the Naga Watchtower. We also have both of them with additional sensor turrets. Dream is getting one to the left now too, so that he can see drops incoming immediately, which is good because TaeJa is sending one out right now.
Yeah. Very important. Both players actually having double sensor towers at basically the exact same places. There's not going to be a secret drop on this one.
No, that's not going to happen.
Who's going to take the 4th base first is really important. These medevacs are really poorly pathed. That was a very scary moment. This actually may trigger an engagement out of Dream. He's got the watchtower. He sieges up first. And, you know, TaeJa with a late stim here. He's a siege tank, but neither player wants to commit.
Waits a little bit longer than Dream. Both of them still at the same supply. Dream getting another round of production in there. The command centers for both of them nearly done. TaeJa with a drop now moving in. He sees the sensor tower at the same time moving into the siege tanks with a decent split, trying to make that happen, but he has to back off, losing too much, and now Dream is going for the counter attack.
Yeah, and TaeJa is not using that drop that we saw earlier. He used it at first, but he stopped. And this is not good for TaeJa. All those Marines that are in this drop were not in that fight.
And this suddenly turned the tide. Dream now getting a lead in the game. Well played here. TaeJa thought he could overwhelm him in the middle of the map, but it was not the case. Now the drop being shut down. Very well played by Dream. He's suddenly ahead with 40 supplies, trying to move in, trying to pressure this 3rd base, making sure that there's no force for TaeJa. Good siege up, scans to get the high ground vision.
Yeah, and he tries to pick off the siege tanks. He is successful. The biggest problem for TaeJa is that Dream has now landed his 4th commander, as you can see here. And TaeJa is stuck. He's on a soft contain, but he can't make that commander land. And so Dream is going to get more and more income. He's going to be able to reinforce all the tanks he just lost. He can remake them a little bit easier than TaeJa. It's more something that he can stomach, something he can afford. You can see TaeJa, though, is still producing 2 siege tanks at a time. Not quite as many Marines, though.
And we have currently +3/+3 started for both of them. Really, really important here. Of course, the upgrades for the siege tanks are also the same. Here comes TaeJa once again, trying to pick up these tanks. 1, 2, and 3, they're gone. Dream still ahead in overall supply, trying to give chase and forcing TaeJa back. The MVP Terran player now with the 4 bases up and mining.
Yeah, you know, Dream was so afraid of drops. He kept so many units at home during this. Now he's actually reuniting both forces together. So that's part of the reason why TaeJa was able to break out there, even though Dream had the massive supply lead. It's because TaeJa just simply had the better army right there at the time. But Dream is trying to change us. Look at TaeJa's macro: 3 siege tanks, 15 Marines, 3/3 constantly going. Even though Dream has the better economy for a long period of time, actually. There, TaeJa's just now landing his command center and starting mining right as I speak.
Both
and TaeJa still is able to produce better than him.
Both of them with a planetary. Dream maxed out. TaeJa about to be, and he has the +2 attack upgrade now for the siege tank that's on the tap.
And the lead for upgrades goes to TaeJa ever so slightly. I don't think it's going to come into play because it's so close, but it could. It very well could. It just depends on how this engagement goes. Dream is not waiting. He actually wants to come in here right now, but TaeJa's already going to have the defensive position. This is not something Dream can attack.
TaeJa has a lot more medivacs than Dream has. Dream only has 4. TaeJa has 8. And you can see the effect already. All those medivacs for Dream don't really have a lot of energy left, whereas TaeJa is nearly on full energy with all of them. So Dream's units have a lot less hit points. He needs a few more medivacs, I feel. With this many Marines, he has 83 Marines and only 4 medivacs. That's not enough.
Yeah. Especially when you're talking long-term, when it's so positional like this, because you're going to have to stim several times without actually fighting. You just have to. And that's where TaeJa's going to have the better Marine hit points eventually when you fight. You stim 3 times, and so half of your Marines don't have health. That's a really big deal.
That army supply for both at 130. Dream now with triple CC.
And
wants
TaeJa
to get
has the
those extra
upgrades.
mules. The upgrades are done for TaeJa, you're right.
Just for a second, but he's not going to be able to fight before.
It's of course not a timing that you have.
Well, you know what? It actually does come into play here for just a few seconds while we're speaking.
And now they are on even upgrades. Here comes the fight. TaeJa suddenly taking a huge lead in supply, but Dream is fighting back, hits the next production cycle, and takes the lead. Again, we have the 5th base nearly completed for TaeJa. He goes straight into the +3 attack upgrade for his siege tanks. He now has a siege tank upgrade lead and is ahead in overall supply.
That was insane. TaeJa realizing having that upgrade advantage for just a second, going and clicking and going for that fight, because otherwise you would not have seen him go for that fight.
Look at those Marines. Unfortunately, we don't have the hit point bar for the Marines of Dream. Maybe Legend, if he hears us, can point that out in the middle of the map. All of them are damaged, whereas TaeJa is on full HP with his, and now he's trying to move in. Another stim of Dream. He doesn't have the medivacs ready. The siege tanks sieging up a lot more for TaeJa than for Dream.
Yeah, and siege tanks for TaeJa have better upgrades. They're at +2. Dream only has +1 right now. He's about to have +2. These siege tanks are way out of position, but he tries to bait Dream in, and Dream takes the bait. That one Viking actually makes a pretty big difference as well against the medevacs. He's able to push the medevacs back of Dream. He's already at a limited number of them, and TaeJa just keeps going more and more here. He's got a 5th base finished up right now, and this may be the end of the game.
For TaeJa was not good in his favor, but from this point on, all the fights that he took were really awesome for the Team Liquid player, and he is pushing his way through Dream's defenses. The MVP Terran player in trouble, down to 120 supply, and TaeJa doesn't show any mercy, is trying to push into the 4th.
No one can stop TaeJa so far in this group. 2-0, and he's going to claim his 3-0 here, running into the 3rd base, killing every last SCV. The Viking finally goes down, but he's actually killing these siege tanks as they spawn. TaeJa is maxed. He is about to have +3 for his siege tanks. He'll have another upgrade lead over his opponent. And the SCVs desperately come off the line here, trying to fight, take out a few siege tanks, but it's not going to be enough. TaeJa actually now has Dream contained, and these Marine drops are nothing but desperation.
A nice job. He tries to make it work, but there are Marines in his 3rd base. The 4th is gone, and this is it. GG. Dream is now on 1 win and 2 losses. He's tied with Trap and Shine. TaeJa takes his 3rd victory and is now tied with Squirtle for 1st place in the group. Both of them in a great position here to advance to Code S. They're not out of it just yet, not in Code S just yet, but it's an awesome position for them to be in.
They could not have done better, to put it quite simply.
Both of them just 1 win away from being in Code S, and of course with a certain tiebreaker situation for 2nd place, for example, they could also advance directly. So great position for both of them. And yeah, a very interesting group situation now, especially with the wild card that we have available. So I think we have a break now, right?
I'm not actually sure, man. That game was so intense that I lost my place. Yeah, we do. We do actually.
We have a 5-minute break.
That was only the 3rd. I thought that was the 4th. I was like freaking out. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think we have enough wins yet.
No, we have coming up next is going to be a Happy versus Trap, and this is important for both of them because the loser is definitely completely out and doesn't have another shot at all.
Yeah.
So, well, I have to actually confirm this, but we'll do that after the break. So, guys, after TaeJa took his 3-0, we are now going into the next set of matches after a short break. So stay tuned, and after 3 to 5 minutes, we are back with the GSL Up and Downs Group B. See you in a few.